Hello, this is Dr. Alan Franklin with Victory Hearing and Balance Center. I'm sitting before you today to discuss in a brief video the different styles of hearing aids available today. We have here 5 of the most common hearing aid styles that I'd like to show you and demonstrate on my ears. As it turns out, my big ears are probably good demonstration ears to show you visually. Let's start with the custom devices. Custom hearing aids are aids that are custom molded specifically to fit in your ear. The very smallest of which is a CIC, or completely in the canal, hearing aid. This type of device will sit completely in the canal as indicated. As you can see, not much of this hearing aid is visible. It's a very cosmetically driven type of device. That represents the smallest custom in-the-ear style device. Advantages to this style device are clearly cosmetics. There are some disadvantages, including challenges with regards to different technology that physically cannot fit inside of a device that small. So cosmetics are the primary benefit. The primary downside are simply that they do not include some of the major technologies available in hearing aids today, particularly those intended to address competing noise issues. The second size up that I'd like to demonstrate for you today is a canal or half-shell device. This device is somewhat larger than the CIC. This device, as you can possibly see there on the video, will fill up about half of the concha bowl, or half of the outside of my ear. This device kind of falls in between. It's fairly cosmetic, but it's clearly more visible than the smaller CIC counterparts. The advantage here is the possibility of more control. They literally have more real estate to fit controls on this larger style device. And number 2, they're less limited in terms of what technologies they can physically put inside of this style device. The canal or half-shell style device also uses a somewhat larger battery, a 312 Brown, versus the CIC, so battery life is a little bit longer with these as well. The largest of the in-the-ear custom style devices is an ITE, or full shell style of hearing aid. This style of hearing aid this style of hearing aid fills up the entire concha bowl, or the entire outer ear, and sits flush in my ear. The primary advantage here is easier dexterity. It literally is larger in size, so you see how much easier I'm able to get that out of my ear. So if dexterity is a challenge, then the larger in the ears really take the cake there. They also use an even larger 13 orange battery, which means you get longer battery life out of this style of device. And once again, due to the increased real estate, they have larger controls on them as well. So those are the primary advantages of this guy. Downside, cosmetics. It fills up the entire ear, and it's flush with the outer portion of the ear. We then move into the behind-the-ear style devices. A behind-the-ear style device really has 2 pieces. A behind-the-ear style device, the hearing aid itself sits back behind the ear, which houses the electronics and the power supply. This is connected to an ear mold, which sits down in the ear. The ear molds are typically custom molded to the ear, much like the custom devices. So 2 parts, an ear mold sitting in the ear, the hearing aid itself back behind the ear. Let me show you how that works. And that looks just like this. The primary benefits to a standard size behind the ear hearing aid such as this is controls. Number 1, they have the most control on them, user available control. They use a 13 orange battery, so they have a pretty good battery life. They also have the most power output, so for more severe losses or higher power preferences. These clearly are capable of more volume. They're significantly less likely to have feedback or squawking problems than any of the custom in-ear devices due to the physical advantage of the separation here in the device. So these are standard sized behind-the-ear hearing aids. The next size is a newer trend, if you will, in hearing aid design, which is increasingly becoming common. These are micro or mini behind-the-ear hearing aids. These are still behind-the-ear hearing aids. As you can see, though, they have the cosmetic benefit, typically, of a CIC hearing aid. They're very cosmetic and difficult to see. With that said, I have a blue hearing aid on right now, and it's probably very difficult to see. We still have a behind-the-ear portion that sits behind the ear and contains the electronics and the power supply, a small wire or a thin tube which progresses into the ear canal, and the in-the-ear piece, in this case, can take the form of either a non-custom piece or a custom molded piece, depending upon which is really acoustically appropriate for your audiometric configuration. The benefits here are cosmetics, and we have a lot of the functionality of behind-the-ear hearing aids, which includes reduced feedback likelihood, the possibility of an open or more natural sounding fit when the audiometric configuration dictates that's appropriate. The downside is, since they are very small and cosmetic, from a real estate standpoint, they don't have much in the way of controls either. So they're more limited in controls and more limited in power output versus a standard behind-the-ear style hearing aid. Ultimately, though, choosing the right hearing aid for you is really a combination of two things. Number one, what is audiometrically appropriate for you, and that's why we always recommend you start off with a real medical diagnostic hearing evaluation, which we're set up to do. And number two, aside from what's audiometrically appropriate for your prescription, is number two, what your realistic preferences are. Are you more of a functionally based person? Are you more of a cosmetic? Or cosmetics more important to you? But these are the things that go into choosing just the right instrument for you, and that's what we're set up to talk to you about here at Victory Hearing and Balance. So once again, signing off, Dr. Alan Franklin with Victory Hearing and Balance Center. Look forward to seeing you soon. 443-3500. Thanks. Bye-bye.